Hi there, it's Julia from Z Squared Crafts. I'm so thrilled to be joining the TheAlleyWayStamps YouTube design team. I can't wait to show you what I have in store for the next few months. Let's jump into this card. I created a shaker card this week because I thought it would be fun to have kind of a summer fun celebratory card. Earlier in the week it was Canada Day here in Canada where I am, and I know that today it's the 4th of July in the States, so it just seems like lots of celebration these days. I am using the Alleyway Stamps Bugging Out mini stamp set. I absolutely love this stamp set and think it is so adorable. It's perfect to create this little mason jar shaker card. One of the neat things about the Alleyway Stamps is that they offer SVG files to go along with all of their stamps. So that means that you can cut all of the die cuts of the stamps using your electronic cutting machine rather than a manual die cut machine. The files are really inexpensive and you can do a ton with them, so they are a definite must-have if you're purchasing the stamp sets. I'm stamping all of my images using Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to color them in using my Spectrum Noir alcohol markers. For this little bug shape, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a bee, but because I wanted to create a lightning bug shaker, I'm just going to color him in all yellow. All of the colors that I use for the card today will be listed over on my blog, so if you're curious about any of those or you can't quite see them in the video, feel free to hop over to the Z Squared Crafts blog and I will have them all listed there. I'm going to color in this cute little dude using 3 colors of blue markers. I start by laying down the lightest color that I'm going to use, and then I go in with my darkest color to create some shadowing. And then to blend that out, I will use my mid-tone marker, and to finish off the whole thing and give it a nice smooth look, I will finish off with my lightest marker. I also colored in this little guy's nose using a couple shades of pink, as well as added just a little bit of pink to his cheeks to add a little life to him. As a finishing touch, I'm going to go ahead and color in his little antenna using red markers. His antenna are actually what kind of inspired this card, so I wanted to pay special attention to those. Next, I'm going to start creating my shaker portion of the card. I cut out a whole bunch of the SVG file mason jars, as well as an outline so that I could have a solid back for my shaker. I'm going to adhere each of those layers using some liquid glue. In this case, I'm using the Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, and I'm just going to layer on a few layers until I have enough that I think my shaker material or my little lightning bugs will shake around. Because they're just cardstock, I don't need a super thick shaker, so I can kind of cheat and just layer on a whole bunch of the electronic cuts. I wanted to add a little bit of razzle dazzle to this card because after all it is for a celebration. So I filled in that little back part using a piece of silver glitter paper from American Crafts. I actually just kind of traced the inside of one of those and cut it out freehand. In the end it fit in fine, especially because I adhere down some of the details on the inside of that shaker, so you can't even see that it doesn't fit perfectly. I wanted to pull in a little more red, same as the antenna on the little guy's head, so I'm using Simon Says Stamp lipstick red ink to stamp on the lid of that mason jar. That stamp is also included in the Bugging Out stamp set. Next, I'm going to go ahead and adhere down my piece of transparency to the inside of what will be the front of my shaker, so that where I just stamped that red lid will be the front and top of my shaker. I'm just using a piece of acetate transparency as the front part, and I'm literally just dropping that down and putting a block on top. I didn't want it to shift at all because I didn't want the glue to dry and then you would see it inside that clear front piece. So I'm again using my liquid glue to adhere down a few of those lightning bugs on the inside of the jar. I wanted to make sure that it would kind of look like a jar that was actually filled with bugs, so I thought it would be kind of gross if they were all like at the bottom. So I adhered down 4 of those little lightning bugs, and then I actually only added 1 extra for the shaker material. I had a couple more in there and I just felt like it was too jammed, so I pulled it apart and only put 1 extra bug in there. Like I said, it's a celebration card, so of course I need to add a little bit more sparkle. I colored in those lightning bugs using my Clear Wink of Stella glitter brush, and then I couldn't hold back and I grabbed my little dude, I did his nose, and of course those adorable antennas. As the final touch on these little characters, I'm going to go in with a black gel pen just to darken up all of their eyes. Now, like I said, I kind of planned to use 2 extra bugs there, and in the end I only used 1. I also realized at this time that my shaker was just a little bit too thin, so I needed to add 1 extra layer so that my little lightning bug would shake around and kind of have enough room to move. I just could not put this shaker embellishment down, so I went ahead and added a red bow to the top there. It's just a very thin piece of ribbon that I tied around and then tied a bow. Just to make sure it doesn't slip or untie, I used a glue dot to position that right behind the bow, and everything stays in place nicely, especially when I mail it. For my sentiment, I knew that I wanted to use the Sparkle, Shine, and Twinkle greetings from the Alleyway Stamps Winter Butterflies stamp set because I thought it kind of just pulled the whole razzle-dazzle glittery celebration together. I am positioning those on my card, and then I will pick them up all at once with my stamp block and stamp those onto my craft card base using Simon Says Stamp Lipstick Red ink again. And that's the same ink that I used on the top of the mason jar. I adhered my little guy onto his mason jar of lightning bugs using my liquid glue, and I set that aside to dry until I positioned some double-sided tape as well as some foam tape on the part of the guy that hangs off the edge, and that's 2 layers of foam tape actually, and then I just adhere it right onto my craft card base. I felt like this card needed a lot of embellishment because the jar was so big and heavy and glittery. So I started by adding some 4mm and 6mm Pretty Pink Posh sequins, and then I took some glossy accents and added some of that to the little guy's antenna as well as his big cute nose. I rounded all 4 corners of my card base using a 1/4 inch corner rounder, went in with a white gel pen to add some faux stitching around the edges, and then as the very final detail, I just couldn't hold back and I grabbed my Zig glitter marker. This is a clear, it's like a Clear Wink of Stella marker, and I went over all of those red letters so that they had just a very subtle little sparkle and shine. That finishes my card for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If you want to find me on the web, you can find my YouTube channel in the description below. Make sure to hop over to the Alleyway Stamps blog to see all of the other awesome creations today from the rest of the design team.